You picture a Neanderthal tearing into raw meat, blood on the chin, no fire in sight. That image has been in cartoons, textbooks, and movies for 100 years. It is almost completely wrong. Neanderthals cooked. Not occasionally, not by accident. The real surprise is not whether they cooked, but how differently their kitchen worked from yours, and how much that difference reveals about the world they were actually living in. Start with the fire itself. At Kebara Cave in Israel, archaeologists uncovered a hearth so well preserved that researchers could map exactly where ash, burnt bone, and stone tools had accumulated over generations of repeated use. This was not a one-time spark someone got lucky with. This was a fixed cooking spot, returned to again and again, the way you return to your own stove every single day. But here is the part that breaks the caveman stereotype completely. Researcher Amanda Henry examined dental plaque preserved on Neanderthal teeth and found something nobody expected: microscopic starch granules from plants. And critically, many of those granules showed signs of having been heated, not just meat, roots, grains, cooked plant matter, trapped in tartar for tens of thousands of years, waiting for someone with a microscope to notice. So picture the actual scene. Not a lone hunter gnawing on a raw haunch by torchlight. A small group gathered around a maintained fire pit, some tending the coals, others working roots and tubers dug up earlier that day, softening them in the heat before eating. Someone testing a piece of meat with a stick, deciding it needs a few more minutes. This looks less like a survival scramble and more like something you would recognize: a shared meal, prepared with intention. Now for the counterintuitive twist. Even with fire and cooked food, Neanderthal cooking almost certainly did not involve anything close to a recipe. No consistent seasoning, no standard technique passed down as a formal tradition, the way you might learn from a parent or a cookbook. Evidence suggests cooking varied heavily by region and by what was locally available, meaning a Neanderthal group in a cold northern valley likely cooked in ways almost unrecognizable to a group living near a coastline. There was no single Neanderthal cuisine. There were dozens of local, improvised ones, shaped entirely by whatever the land around them provided that week, remade constantly as seasons shifted and old food sources disappeared. This matters because it changes what cooking actually meant to them. For you, cooking is often a choice, a hobby, sometimes a chore you can skip by ordering food instead. For a Neanderthal, cooking was closer to a survival calculation performed daily, without backup options. Undercook meat in a cold climate, and you risk parasites you cannot afford to fight off. Waste fuel or time on the wrong plant, and you lose calories your body cannot spare. Every meal was a small, high-stakes decision, made without any guarantee tomorrow's ingredients would look anything like today's. Think about your own last meal. You likely chose it from dozens of options, prepared using techniques refined over centuries, and written down precisely enough that a stranger on the other side of the planet could recreate it exactly. A recipe on your phone tells you the exact temperature, the exact number of minutes, the exact amount of salt. None of that existed for a Neanderthal cook. No standard measurements, no written technique, just accumulated, hard-won knowledge about which roots would kill you, which meat needed more heat, and how long the fire needed tending before it was worth trusting your family's dinner to it. That knowledge lived entirely inside people, passed down by watching, by doing, by getting it wrong once, and remembering the mistake for the rest of your life. You picture a Neanderthal tearing into raw meat, blood on the chin, no fire in sight. What actually existed was closer to your own kitchen than you have ever been told. A maintained fire, plants prepared with real technique, and food made not by instinct alone, but by knowledge passed carefully from one generation to the next, one meal at a time.